My friends, we are going to learn about the dropping rule today. I think that's right. Let me just double check. The dropping rule. Yeah. All right. So here it is. We're going to start spelling. Okay, let's get spelling. Okay, so the dropping rule is when you have a base word that ends with a vowel. You got that much so far? When you have a base, base words are words that you can add a suffix to, like an ending. You can add a prefix to at the beginning. Like a base word would be rain. And then when you add an E at the end, it's rainy, or Y I mean. Or if you add an S at the end, it's rains. Those are suffixes. So a base word is a word that you can add an ending to or a beginning to, a prefix or a suffix. So if you have a base word that ends with a vowel, are you with me so far? If you have a base word that ends with a vowel, like a silent E, and if you're adding a suffix, an ending that starts with a vowel, you have to drop that silent E. So if you have a base word that ends with a silent E, I'm just going to say that. If you have a base word that ends with a silent E, like, I'll show you a whole bunch of examples here. Bake. Let's say I want to add the suffix ing. You're going to drop the silent E. So if you have a base word that ends with a silent E and you're adding a suffix that starts with a vowel, you're not going to have those two vowels touching. You're going to drop that silent E. Baking. Or a word that ends with a silent E. You guys have any suggestions? What are some words that, like a base word that ends with a silent E? Oh, hi, Ben. Yes, I would be happy to. If you have, I'm just going to spell it out. If you have a base word that ends with a silent E, and you add a vowel suffix, which is a suffix that starts with a vowel, you drop the silent E. Let me show you a whole bunch. Oh, Piper, thank you. That's perfect. So let's say the word is ride and you want to add an ing. You're going to have to drop the E. Okay? Your spelling is improving already. Like, thank you. Perfect. Like. If you have the word like and you want to add an ed, let's say, and you want to make it liked, you're going to drop the silent E on the base word. So that word looks like it's like with just a D on the end, but it's not. It's like with a dropped silent E adding the ed. So that E that you see in liked goes to the ed, not to like. We dropped that E. Thanks for the, oh yeah, perfect. Thanks for the examples. So if you have dance and you want to make it dancing or danced, let's make it ing. Then you have to drop the silent E. Oh, that brings me to my next little tip. Do you see how that C, why is that E there in dance? Do you know why that E is there in dance, in the word dance? It's to make the C soft. If that E wasn't there, it would say dank. C says k unless there's an E, I, or Y after it. So that E is there to make the C soft. So can you drop that E if the next letter that you're adding on, the vowel, is not an E, I, or Y? You can't. Let's say that the word that you wanted to make was danceable. Maybe your song isn't very danceable. You're going to have to keep that E there. You can't drop it. Because if you did, and you brought in that ubble, look what it would look like. Now that C can no longer say S, because there's not an E, I, or Y after it. Now that C has to say K, and what would that word say? Dankable, dankable, right? So in some times, in some situations, you have to keep the silent E there. It doesn't happen very often because it has to come right after a C or a G to make those soft, and then the suffix can't start with an E, I, or Y. It's pretty rare, but it does happen sometimes. So let's practice. Oh, that's a good one too, Riker. Ellie and Dean. Oh, thanks for all of the suggestions for the silent E words. I needed those. So my tablet isn't working today, so I'm going to have to try to use my whiteboard and my mouse to teach you today. Sometimes my writing can get just a little bit messy with my whiteboard and my mouse, but if you can be patient with me, it's hard to write neatly with the mouse, but we'll see. We'll see how we do. All right, the first word that I want us to do together is I want to, and these are going to be nonsense words, words that we don't say, words that aren't real words. So this first word is baseable. So we're going to make the first word is base. And if I want to add an able, how am I doing so far with the mouse? Not too bad. Might be a little slow. Can I just add that onto there? Yeah, that E, if that was a C, I would have to keep it, but an S can say its S sound even if the next letter is not an E, I or Y. So you're going to drop the E and then push the two parts together. Drop the E, April. How do I erase? Drop the E and then add the suffix able. Now you have baseable. So what you're learning is if a base word ends with a silent E and you're adding a suffix that starts with a vowel, drop that silent E before you add the suffix most of the time. Okay, your word together is going to be priner. Priner. Your base word is prine. I'm going to write out the whole words today. We're not going to do too much with lines today. I just want you to practice adding these vowel suffixes. So this is your base word, and then I want you to add the suffix er. Put your answer in the Q&A for me, please. Priner. Priner is what I want. Thank you. Right. Karis, yes. Counter, good. Look how fast you guys are learning. This is your first word right out of the gate, and you are just killing it over here. Beautiful. I think that was probably an autocorrect to printer. You probably meant to say priner, but it probably autocorrected. Yeah, you're going to drop this E, squish this one over, so it turns into priner. This E right here goes to the ER, not to the prine. You guys are such fast learners. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to erase the whole thing. I just wanted a quick erase, but that could work. All right. Next word, together. Yeah, I don't even think you need me. Let's just try this one with just you. The word is floping. Here's your base word, flope. And your suffix is ing. What does that turn into? How would you make that into my writing? How would you make that into floping? Put it in the Q&A. Good. Nice. Good. Good. Good, good, good. Right. Yeah, that is supposed to be a plus right here, not a T. That wasn't very clear. But yeah, most of you got that correct. You're going to drop that silent E and add the ing. So floping would be spelled like this. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute. Now you know how to spell. You've only been learning this for a few minutes, 15 minutes maybe, and now you already know how to spell real words like all the words we already went over. You already know how to do it. If it ends with a silent E and you're adding a vowel suffix, let's say the campfire was smoking. You already know that it's smoke without the E, adding the ing, right? Let's say you're trying to spell the word, I baked a pie yesterday. You already know that that's bake without the E, adding an ed. You're going to use this skill, this new spelling hack that you learned just now for the rest of your life. If you're spelling a word that has a vowel suffix, a suffix that starts with a vowel, and this guy ends with a silent E, drop that silent E unless it's making the C or the G make it soft sound and the next letter isn't an E, I, or Y. One more. If you're spelling the word shiny, there's shine with the suffix E, you're just going to drop the E and add the Y, shiny. That knowledge is yours to keep. Beautiful. Let's keep going. All right, let me share my screen again. Use my whiteboard. So this next word is going to be that exception that I was talking to you about, where sometimes you don't drop the silent E if the letter before it is a C or a G, and it has to make it soft sound, because E, I, or Y is needed to make a C or a G soft. So you keep it there if the suffix does not start with an E, I, or Y. Like if it's an able, A, then you have to keep the E there. So your word that I want you to spell, let me try that again. There we are. Is grageable. So we have grage plus able. How would you spell that? Put it in the Q&A. Grageable. Grageable. Yes, Nima and Sheath, you're doing great. The dance class is canceled. Rule. Grageable. Okay, good. Gorgeous. Beautiful. Yes. Now spell able like this. This is how you spell able, A-B-L-E. So I have grage here for you. I have able. It's just this middle part that you need to figure out if you're going to drop that E or not. Nimat and Sheath, don't forget this G right here. So what would it say? Let's say I dropped the E like we've been doing. Now what would that G say? Now that G can no longer say J because the next letter is going to be an A. G can't say J unless the next letter is an E, I, or Y. So if we get rid of it, it can't say J anymore. It would have to say its normal G sound. And that word would say grageable. Grageable. So if you're adding a suffix, a word part that doesn't start with an E, I, or Y, you have to keep the E there. You can't drop it. So that the G can remain soft. So this is how you would spell grageable. You have to keep the E there. Okay? Next. I want you to spell the word. You want a harder one? Do you want easy, medium, or hard? Let me know in the Q&A. Because I have a lot of hard ones here, but I'm not sure if you guys might still want some medium ones. Lots of mediums in the Q&A. Okay, lots of mediums. Let's just do this one then. I want your word to be glyceable. Glyceable. So here we have glyce plus able. The question is, are you going to drop that E or not? Glyceable. Put your answer in the Q&A. Almost every single person said that you wanted in medium. There you go. That's right. Get the ABLE in the right order. Nice. Yes, Piper, very good. Karis, gorgeous. Nima and Sheik, you have an extra A in there, but I'm counting that as correct. I'm counting it as correct. Ellie and Dean, if we drop this E right here, then that C would have to say K, because the next letter is an A. It's not an E, I, or Y, and that would say glycable, right? You knew that. You knew that. I knew you did. So we're going to keep the E there, you guys. And so the word would be spelled glycable. You have to keep the E there. You guys are getting it. You are getting it. I'm impressed. Okay, next. We're going to do another medium one. I want the word pollute plus the suffix ed. I want polluted. Polluted. How do you spell that? Put it in the Q&A. Polluted. Oh, now you want hard ones? After this, we'll do a hard one. Polluted. This one's pretty easy for you now, huh? Yeah, very good. Do you know why it is spelled the way that is? Could you explain it to somebody else? You're right. Polluted is spelled like this. Could you explain what this E is doing here? Is it part of pollute or is it part of ed? It's part of ed, right? You dropped the one in pollute. Well done. Okay, I think you're ready for a hard one. Your hard word is the word printope with an Printoper. Printoper. Here's printope. Uh-oh. Plus Printoper. I want the word printoper. Yep. Good. You guys are good spellers. You've got this rule down really well. I'm proud of you. Printoper. Nice. Yeah. This is normally how we're going to spell per. That's a consonant blend that's in a beginning of a lot of words. So instead of P-E-R, P-E-R is also very common. So I don't blame you for putting that there. But that's a different kind of word. P-R is the consonant blend that we're looking for in this word. Printoper. Okay. For the last one, how about you try one without me spelling it on the board? All you, okay? I want your word to be did we do that one already? Nope. Oh, I want your word to be glype plus ing. Glyping. Glyping. Go ahead and try it without me at all. Glyping. And let's make it an English word. I love that you knew how to spell the Greek version, but let's keep it an English word so that we're going to have an I in the middle. Glyping. You guys don't even wonder how to spell this word. You've got it. You've never spelled glyping before in your life, but you know how to do it because you know how to spell now. Glyping. Beautiful. Okay. Gorgeous. All right, so let me just talk to you a little bit about what you learned the last 2 weeks, just to review. Not the last 2 weeks, the last 2 sessions. In the last class on Monday, you learned the floss rule. And if you're here for the first time, this is just a recap of what we did. What if you have a word that has only one vowel in it and it ends with an F, L, S, or Z, you double the last letter. Do you remember that? Like dress, sniff, well, spell. It has only one vowel and it ends with an F, L, S, or Z. You double the last letter. Yeah? Today, you learned that if you have a base word that ends with a silent E and you're adding a vowel suffix, a suffix that starts with a vowel, drop the silent E on the base word, squish those two parts together to create your new word. Unless that silent E is there for the purpose of making the C or the G before it soft. And that suffix starts with an A or starts with something that isn't an E, I, or Y. Then you have to keep that E there so that that C or G can still be soft. Now, if you understood what I just said, you are exceptional, because that was hard. That was a really hard lesson, but you got it. All of those things that I just said, all of those exceptions, all of the bits and parts of it, you understood it. You are exceptional. And you not only understood it, you applied it to spell the words correctly. You are getting to be a stellar speller. I'm proud of you. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye, everybody. You're doing great.